Hello everyone. Hello everyone, and welcome to Tea with G, which is my word for satsang. I do prefer the sense of it as the mic thing is really giving me problems. All right, I give up. It's just gonna have to be where it is. Good to see you all. although there's not many people here, I hear some people showing up with some comments. So another one of those days where I did not have anything planned as to what would happen today. And let's see what happens. I make it louder. Yes, I can make it louder. As long as... how's that? Is that better? Yeah. I don't want it distorting, though. Yeah. Because sometimes I do speak louder and sometimes softer. But is that better for everybody in terms of the sound? Yeah. I don't have a real sound man. Why is this flickering in the background? My goodness. Let's go over here for a second and check all the settings. So I think I'm going to do this. There it goes. Yeah. Some settings I don't actually want to have. So, hello all. Christina's cozy with tea. Let's see. Anybody else? Because I just want to make sure that it's not just Ava, so I don't make it so loud as it distorts my voice, which can happen on the recording. So if you would all be so kind as to kind of weigh in on your on your sound is great. Sound is great. All right. Sounds good. Very good. All right. Sound is good, but sometimes I freeze. Yeah, it's trauma, remember? Why do we have this number one sign? I don't have a number one sign. Does everybody else have a number one sign? Or pound one? I have no idea what you're referring to. So, oh, good. So, good. So I invite your questions early. I always like to remind folks that this particular setting is the opportunity to explore the deepest questions of life. I teach some other courses about things. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be teaching a workshop exclusively for women and another one exclusively for men to help us through times that are confusing and difficult. But in this setting, we want to have the opportunity, the setting, it as regularly as we possibly can, to be able and willing to explore the deepest questions, our existential questions about who we are and why we're here and what is this all about. Mind you, we don't live in a world where that is the normal conversation. It is not, we don't live in a culture in which that kind of inquiry is appreciated, except in very small little pockets around. It is all very perfunctory. It's all about how you do things and making things happen and accumulating stuff and all the stuff that is the normal conversation. We don't really have the opportunity to sit down together and just with over tea and just look at the bigger picture. You know, the worlds come and go. Empires rise and fall. This life is one among many that you've had. This particular body-mind thing, at some point, is just simply going to dissolve, and not. You know what, Ava? Let it go. Everybody, let it go. If there's a number one there, great. It means you're number one. Just let yourself be number one. Come back here. Come back here. It doesn't need any attention. None of us need to figure anything out. Right? Remember, the technology, as far as the people who create and give the technology, they're not interested in this conversation that we're having. They don't care. They want a bunch of stuff on your screen to keep you on the screen so that they can feed a bunch of stuff to you that you really have no use for. And I do keep people's attention here for a long period of time. If I had thousands of people here listening, boy, they'd be all over this. But I don't. So they're not. So they're just putting stuff there that's valuable to them. So just remember why we are here, why this particular space has been created for your benefit, to look beyond the immediate circumstances, look beyond the technology, look beyond the face and the voice of the guy on the screen who's talking to you. Look beyond the state of affairs in the world, good, bad, or indifferent. Look beyond the parameters of your own life. We have that capability. We can do such things, which is just miraculous. It is a cause for enormous celebration. We are capable of actually standing back from everything that's going on and touching a deeper reality, a deeper space, a deeper perspective and dimension. When people talk about other dimensions and beings in other dimensions. That's all well and good. But those are just like different worlds or different planets or different lifetimes. There's nothing significant about it. But this dimension that you can access right here, right now, to step back from everything that's happening and experience yourself directly as just the pure experiencer without any attachment or reference point to anything other than you. And see what you find. See what you find. Self-inquiry is about peeling away everything that is obviously not yourself. The quest is to find you as you are, not how you're defined by circumstances, not how you're defined by the roles you have to play in your life. We all play roles. I'm playing one right now, as are you. But to be able to step back and see, I'm not the role I'm playing. And I can go from role to role to role. I can play all sorts of different roles, quite appropriately and quite naturally. I'm going to be my granddaughters have been bugging me to be on FaceTime, so I'm going to surprise them and sneak over there sometime today and surprise them. And then I'll be grandpa. They don't sit here and listen to me talk like this. I couldn't talk to my 3-year-old granddaughter like that, or my 8-year-old granddaughter like that. Although the older one has asked some interesting questions, so I'm very happy to see that. That I'm just kind of like, all right, I don't have to worry about it. Grace is taking care of it. But you're not your roles. You're not the job you do. You're not the relationships that you have. Right? You can have many of them. They come and go. What isn't coming and going? Right? When you think about it, if you look at your life, various circumstances happen, and you ended up, doing the things for a living that you end up doing, or you made the friends that you made. A slightly different twist, a slightly different event happening in your life could have made a completely different trajectory. Right? And you could have been, I don't know, a politician or a doctor or somebody, so along that ilk. You could have been a bass player in a rock band. There's nothing that says you have to do this particular thing, right? So, if you could have been any of those, who are you? What is it about us that can so easily step into a role and then step out of it again? And the only suffering that we experience, the real suffering, yes, there's difficulties and problems, and Joseph, I'm going to answer your question. The real cause of the suffering is that we get stuck in the role. That is, we mistake the role for who we are. We mistake our conditioning for who we are. We make the mistake of creating a self-image in our minds, or it gets created for us by others' perspective, others' views, others' beliefs, others' demands. And because there is a natural tendency of the nervous system to want to belong, to want to get somewhere and stay there, and there is the natural tendency of the mind to create a self-image, a sense of self, a person, an ego, if you like. We don't notice that it's happening until somebody points it out. And when you're fortunate enough to have somebody point it out to you, take it to heart. It's quite miraculous that we have this capability to look at ourselves and say, that isn't really who I am. And the capacity to say, I don't know who I am. But I'd sure like to find out. So that's what we're here for. We're here to peel away all of the stuff that we've believed about ourselves. And then find what's left. Not replace them. Right? We're not telling everybody, okay, don't play this role, but do this role instead. Leave your family and go to the Himalayas and sit in a cave. I'm not making any recommendations like that. It's not what this is about. You don't have to change those things up. You simply need to begin the process of disidentification. That is, seeing that the things I do, the feelings I have, the thoughts I have, the roles I play, the actions I take, all of them are learned behaviors, mostly learned before you could even make a decision about it. And then, and see that that is not essentially who you are. Don't replace it with something else. You don't need to. Be willing to simply be in this awkward but powerful state of simply not knowing. That's the creative state in which fresh insight can come. I'll leave it at that for folks, and just go back really quick and say hello to everybody before I get to Joseph. And so Ava, everybody, Ava is number one. YouTube said so. Yes, I do. Yeah. So, push it. Isn't that a song? Push. All right. Fatima, good to see you. And Eva, and Ida, and Mary, and Daryl. Aziz, very good. Very good. Christina, did I miss anybody? No. Okay, good. So Joseph said, I'm going through antipsychotic withdrawal, and it's really hard. It blocks my presence. Why would God take that away from me? Working on it. Are you, I'm going to, just so that I am responsible as somebody in public talking about something like this, just are you working with whoever it is that prescribed the antipsychotic drugs? Are you working with that one, the doctor or nurse practitioner, whoever it is, in the process of weaning yourself off of it? Right? So that if you're doing it on your own, that's different. And I'm going to answer your question, but I have to be responsible to make sure that nobody thinks I'm giving out medical advice or ignoring medical conditions. I would never do that. So just make sure you're doing it as safely as you possibly can. And now I can talk about the answer to your question. Now, when you're going through, the body is going through any kind of major transformation. And if you've been taking the antipsychotic drugs for any particular time, or really anything, right? Whether it be, recreational drugs, or it be, medicinal, stuff that's been prescribed, it is most definitely a huge shift for the body and the emotions and the mind to make. It's going to take some time for it to settle. So first off, don't be afraid of it, right? Now, let's look at even more deeply. When you're talking about presence, right, the way you refer to it, which is what most people do, right, we're talking about attention, where our attention goes. Now, anybody who's ever tried to focus attention on anything knows very well how difficult that is to do under the best circumstances, because we've never really trained our attention to do anything other than jump around. In fact, that's its actual nature. It is, our attention is being driven by the various functions of the nervous system, just like the dogs or the cats or a gerbil or anything, any critter, right? Their attention is there to respond to danger. So it's scanning all the time. It's an amazing thing that we can do it, that we can learn to actually focus our attention on something that is important to us. And the best way to do that is to see that it is important and kind of let go of the things that aren't as important, so that it's more disinterest in where attention goes than it is a harsh discipline of some sort. So attention and presence are not the same thing. Attention wanders, but do you wander? Right? Yeah, your mind wanders. That's what minds do. Emotions come and go. Now, just for a moment, even if your mind is going crazy, right? Your attention's all over the place. Just notice that you are there, and aware of attention jumping around, the mind going nuts, the body doing stuff because of this significant change that's happening to the physiology of the body, to your emotions, and to the circumstances of your life. That you know that eventually it's going to be a better place. But notice that you're aware of that. That's presence, which is always here. Our idea that somehow presence is dependent upon where our attention is externalizes us, makes it feel as if I'm not present, when in fact you always are. Now that presence isn't like, it's not like this feeling we're really centered, I'm here, I've got no distractions, or when you're talking with somebody and they're really focusing their attention on you, you feel their presence, right? But our presence is always here. Try to not be present for a moment. Just see if you can do it. If we come to understand what presence is and what it's not, you'll suddenly realize that you're always present. At which point, the stuff that your body's going through, your emotions and your mind, will be of secondary importance. You won't feel as if I'm going nuts. I'm not present. I can't focus my attention. I can't meditate. That stuff won't be a concern, because you don't need those for that. It is simply the recognition that all of that chaos couldn't be there if I wasn't there perceiving it. Now, simply ask yourself, if I can perceive it, is it me? See, presence is very subtle. Right? It's not something you perceive. It's something you just are. Right? Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't suck when we have a hard time focusing attention, when we want to put it somewhere and we can't. But the belief that somehow that deprives me of my presence is where that's where the pain is. It doesn't do that. The belief that it does makes it feel as if, but in fact, you're right here, right now, hearing my words. And so God didn't take it away from you. The beliefs that we accumulated over our lives did. In fact, that presence that we all feel all the time, we just don't recognize it. That presence is God. The presence of your simple being, you are. Pure existence, pure being, is God. It's not taking anything away from you. It is, God is the very essence of you. We've just been mistaught, that's all. And because of that, we've suffered not from any absence of presence, because there isn't one, but the belief that there is, sunk in so deeply and unquestioned that we experience it as if it were true. Is this helping, Joseph? Helping anyone, actually. Because when you start on the path of awakening, and we're all on the path of awakening because we were invited to it. We were called to it. Called and chosen. Right? How are you chosen? When you choose it. When you choose to walk this path, you have become chosen. Chosen ones. Right? And when you do, everything in your life is now serving that purpose. Everything. There's no such thing as a difficulty that isn't part of the path, right? including something like this. Even folks that have an easy time focusing, meditation, yoga, doing all of those things, are going to experience, as the inquiry begins to really sink in, going to experience the tsunamis, the hurricanes that is the mind, as it reacts to scrutiny being brought to it. Those beliefs that are embedded in the nervous system and have been there, being embodied for your whole life, suddenly being uncovered and revealed. It's going to be like, I don't know if you've ever kind of opened up a nest of something. Everything starts to scatter. Turn on the lights in a room where there's a bunch of cockroaches, and they start to scatter. It's kind of like that. As you deepen the inquiry and go, wait a minute, what is presence? Is it possible for me to not be present? There can be some reaction to that because you're touching a raw nerve. You're touching some of our most cherished beliefs. So, how is that? Is this helpful, Joseph? And Flo Meister is as well. And anybody, actually. Whether it be because you're coming off of some medication or coming off of some addiction or coming out of a relationship that's ended, or just struggling with an insight that is completely contradictory to everything you've believed, we're all going to be invited to imagine that somehow we have been cut off from ourselves. You cannot be cut off from yourself. You are always yourself. Remember that, and then whatever the mind has to say about it, whatever the habits are, they become eventually completely irrelevant. At first, just I don't have to try to get myself into some special state in order to be present, in order to be blessed. I don't have to do that. The truth is, I've never been cut off. I cannot be cut off from the love that is God, from the presence that is God. The only presence there actually is. Your very soul, your very self, your very being, that is the supreme. So, gotta hope that helps. Yeah, I'm also on antipsychotics, Joseph. Yeah. Jennifer, hello, hello, Tomas. Tomas, good to see you. Good to see everybody. Miss Nay. Oh, good. God wins name. God wins name. Sneh. Hey G, what we desire or seek already is what we desire or seek already here, and we just can't perceive it. If that's true, is attracting manifestation just allowing the manifestation of us all there is? Yeah, yes. What we seek. You see, at the root of what we are seeking, right, is a sense of something lacking, isn't it? The belief so strongly that something is lacking that it sets us seeking what it is we're lacking out there, somewhere out there. I'm going to find what it is that I'm seeking. As we mature, we begin and have enough life experience, we begin to realize that every time I get what I think I've been seeking, it doesn't last, or it's not as satisfying as I thought it was, or it's unstable, it's shaky. Right? I can't hold on to it. Okay? So eventually we turn inward enough to say, well, what is there such a thing? Does it exist? This thing that can satisfy this desire? Or is hell a reality? Right? I mean, hell, what is hell? The fires of hell, represent a desire for which there is no fulfillment. Wow. Imagine a desire for which there is no fulfillment. That would be hell. That would be utter hell. Oh, I go so deep in this because that's the belief that we have, the thing that we accumulate. Of all these needs that deep down inside we assume they're never going to be met, and we're out trying to fill up this empty hole that's there, which is real. So, what's at the root of it? What is it that we are really seeking? What is it that will fill that hole and not be unstable, not be transient, not temporary, not come and go? Look around. Look at the world. Have you ever gotten anything in this world that has lasted, that has not changed, morphed, or just gone away, or you've changed and it no longer is satisfying? Is it anything? Anything at all? Even the best of things can fluctuate. I like it one day, I don't know the next. Then I like it, right? Relationships are like that, right? They can fluctuate. If they're good and strong, yes. The fluctuation can bring you closer, but you can't stop it from fluctuating. Everything comes and goes. Means whatever it is that I'm seeking, it's got to be something that doesn't come and go. I'm seeking that which actually is, and is unchanging and unmoving, and is stable, reliable. Where are you going to find that? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to recognize that there's nothing out there that fits that bill. So either this is it, right? Like the law of attraction, people say that's what life is. It's just this desire gets satisfied, then you have another one. It's just endless. It's this endless cycle of desire. I attracted in my life. I get it. Oh, now I want something else. On and on and on. That's suffering to me. That's That's a treadmill. I mean, really? That's it? That's the meaning and purpose of life? Is it just one desire after another? And while the desire is there, there's this discomfort, there's even suffering. So I get it, right? And of course, it's not like desire, I get it, desire, I get it. There's these huge gaps and struggle, and really that's all there is to it. What is there or that doesn't change? That's just recognizing that is what has prompted people for all time to, what doesn't change? This is where the idea of God came from. The notion of that which is a first cause, it just is immortal, timeless, no beginning, no end. Because that's what we're seeking. In other words, we're seeking eternity, we're seeking immortality. Well, does it exist? We have actually, in our own experiences, every one of us individually, something that has not changed your entire life. Just look at your whole life. Everything you've experienced has changed. Body, mind, thoughts, interests, everything changed. The whole content of your life has changed. But just for a moment, put your attention on the experiencing itself. Not even the sense of I, me, who I thought I was, because that's changing too. But hasn't there been something there that is exactly the same? That was perceiving life when you were 5, perceiving it at 20, at 80, right now. There's something that is hearing my words. We call it consciousness. Has consciousness actually been shifting and changing? It's a great example, right? My hands are moving, right? Is my consciousness moving? My hands move slower. They go from here to here. Does my consciousness go from here to here? All of this is happening, right? Yeah. Yet the consciousness that's perceiving it is not a happening. It's just is. That whole long-winded thing I just went through was to kind of bring home the punchline, which is you're seeking you. So it's not about manifesting something into your life. People say, we desire seek is already here. We think of that in terms of the objects that we're seeking. But whether it's here or not is irrelevant if you don't have access to it. And then if you get it and you have access to it, what's it going to do? The thing, everything you get, it's going to do, it's going to change. What isn't changing? That doesn't mean we can't enjoy it. It doesn't mean you have to become monks, You have to vows of silence and poverty and celibacy and all of the. But we don't have to do that. Monks or nuns, we don't have to go into a cave in the Himalayas. We're going to have a normal life, enjoy life, right? But enjoy it without suffering, because you're not looking to it to be anything other than what it is. A momentary happening. It might be quite ecstatic. It might be just absolutely amazing. Right? But there will also be those moments that'll be just deeply painful, deep loss. They'll be there too. Life will be what life is. So even attempting to manifest is a way in which we try to make life be the way we think it should be. It has no commitment to meeting our expectations, as all of us have already seen in spades. So turn your attention to that which is in fact unchanging, and find that that is you, and that that is what you have been seeking the whole time. That is the place where you find the bliss, the peace, the equanimity. And now imagine living your everyday life, not trying to get something from it, but just giving it your peace. You become the blessing of life itself. And I've already experienced that kind of light coming from you now. It's already here. And you're beginning to see it. Time for a sip. I hope that's helpful, my dear. Drippy. Okay, Megan, good to see you. Good to see you. Oh, yay! I will be opening up. The EFT very soon. Yeah, very soon. It's been quite a week. I haven't been home very much, so I will be opening up level 3 because I know there's a lot of people that are interested in that. So, Tomas, can you please speak about the preservation of sexual energy, semen retention, overcoming lust, dopamine addiction, PMO, not as dogma, discipline, control, suppression, or trying to gain something which all belong to the ego, but is a natural consequence of divine intelligence, clearly seeing the deep sexual conditioning and enslavement that pervade the world at every turn. This is not about sexuality itself, but about the craving and compulsions that distort and misuse the energy. Thank you. Oof, a very mature and intelligent question. Everything in human life, everything, no exceptions, is innocent and pure, beautiful, serves its function, serves its purpose. It is also transient, comes and goes, goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down. The thing that has distorted all of it, all human experience, has been the false sense of self, the person, or the ego. And culture, group rules that are embodiment of ego. Culture is nothing but a shared ego that is a sense of identity amongst a group of people. And at a certain point in human history, where things got increasingly complex and structures put in place for organizing larger groups of people than we naturally do, hierarchies started to be created. That's where patriarchy came from as well. And with it became ego stratified, defined more clearly, and some got a better deal than others. You know, I have more power than you. And the ego set itself against human nature itself. This is the history of the Abrahamic religions. We are fallen. Life is fallen. Nature is fallen. It's no accident that the devil bears a striking resemblance to the god Pan, the god of nature. It's not an accident, actually. supplanting simply natural human instincts and impulses that are managed and understood within the context of nature, replacing that with a cultural view that sets itself up as the arbiter and then starts making demands and requirements, and you should be this way, and this way. And so that things like relationships become defined by culture, sexuality becomes defined by culture, the meaning of wealth, property, all the stuff that used to be that we just had its natural meaning. We all accepted, we all worked with it. There was no patriarchy for hunter-gatherers. It wasn't until we got more and more required more and more complex structures and specialization in life that these kinds of things emerged, and they were arbitrary. They're totally arbitrary stories made up. In other words, bullshit. Culture is simply something that should morph, and they would naturally morph and shift and change, which they inevitably do, but oftentimes the transition can end up being violent simply because they are power structures as well, and people don't want to give up their power. Once they have power, don't want to give it up. So, all of that said, sexuality is a huge one. And the messages we get, especially in the West, are so incredibly confusing. On one hand, we've got the very strict fundamentalist thing: women in their place, men have their place. This is the way the interaction should be. Right? I mean, the missionary position, right? Man on top, woman on the bottom, had nothing to do with sexuality. It was dominance. The man was supposed to be dominant, always in the dominant position. Believe it or not, that's the real reason why in the Old Testament and homosexuality was frowned on. It had nothing to do with sex. It was dominance. You should not dominate another man who happened to be of your group. Other men, fine, no problem. Animals, mentions nothing about that. Mentions nothing about homosexual relationships between women. Doesn't care, because it was about dominance, not sexuality. It was about power structure. Right? And so that's how this has happened. This is the struggle between the genders, which is why I've decided to do a workshop for women, just for women, and one just for men, to try to kind of take up this thing and give us some freedom about it. Now, this is the West. This was not the case in other cultures. It wasn't the case in the cultures that the people in the West conquered, right? The white Europeans, which conquered the world, and the Romans before that, bringing their particular view of it, which wasn't nearly as the way it is now. But it wasn't that way in Asia. It wasn't that way in India or Middle East. Well, the Middle East, yes, but not in Asia, India, and all the natural tribes that existed. So here we are, having the residue of all of that, all of us indoctrinated into that, and at the same time, a recognition that it's nonsense. But now we're kind of at a loss. Where do we go from here? We don't live in the natural world anymore, where the natural world would be what we'd be working with. It would dictate things. We're living in a very unnatural world, but we don't have any rules anymore. We don't have a governing story to make it all make sense, which is freedom. That's the real freedom, the inner freedom we all have. But that also leaves us like, a boat in the middle of the ocean with no anchor, no oars, and no rudder. Where do we go? How do we develop it? I am going to discuss that in detail with men and with women separately. And question like this makes me realize, yep, the time is right. I've been talking about it for a year. I'm finally going to do it. And so all sorts of different ways have come up to try to give us back a sense of authority, and as well as responsibility, to feel as if we are in charge of our own lives, of our own bodies, of our own sexuality. And at the same time, right, not really knowing what's natural and what isn't, what's in our nature, and what is simply the cultural overhead that we can do away with. You can't do away with human nature. We don't want to. I mean, sexuality is part of human, and we do not want for that to go away. I don't think there's anybody here who wants to become celibate, which is just another way of reacting to it. There's no need to do it. And so various things have happened, especially in the West, very suppressed and sexually repressed. All of these things that you're talking about are coming from the East, which hasn't had that problem. So you get the Kama Sutra. It was written about 300 AD, right? And other kinds of Tantra, which is very, very old. It goes back, 2000 BC, 25. I mean, there's the Buddhist tantric practices and the like, but it wasn't. I get it over here, our sexually repressed world, and Tantra becomes all about sex. When you actually look at it, it's only a small part of it. It's actually about how to engage with life and be fluid, flowing with life as life is, and at the same time be in this place of being able to work with life and represent the intelligence of life, creating new forms and the like. And so these things pop up, like semen retention and the like. Different around the whole, different ways of going about sex, the meaning of relationships. All of these things come up. What's the context? What context do we have for coming to understand? Well, I think the context is to knowing ourselves as the pure consciousness that is aware of it, and the experience of things as they are, because everything draws its nature from consciousness. The seat of power, the real power, is knowing yourself as you are, free, whole, which then frees you to be able to see through what is cultural bullshit, outdated, no longer serving any real purpose. And what is the nature of things that I can work with? I can work with the nature of things. I can do anything. But I can't force something to be other than what it actually is. Can't make the cat bark, no matter how hard I try or how much I need it to. I can't do it. I can work with that energy. I have a really good little furry friend. But I can't expect it to be anything other than what it is. This holds true for absolutely everything. And I can't ask you to be anything other than what you are. And what you are is that pure, empty, whole, complete awareness, consciousness in which this is all playing. That's where their mastery comes from. That's where authority comes from. And when that insight governs the relationships between us, we will have heaven on earth. It is possible. Does that help, Thomas, or everybody? Yeah. Boy, there's so many places I could have arced off on that, but this is the time frame I have here. But I regard it as extremely important, extremely important. because we live in a time that does not have an organizing story. And the stories that are competing for dominance now are ugly, aggressive, hostile, bigoted, racist, ignorant, on and greedy, on and on it goes. That's what's vying for our attention externally. What's vying for our attention internally? Love, peace, kindness, compassion, wisdom, intelligence, creativity. That's actually what's moving us. Another sip. Really just take a moment. Sit back for a second and wow. I am what I'm seeking. I'm seeking me, and I'm already me. Who I am, what I am. All of that makes that the most important thing to come to terms with. The answer to who am I is the answer to all questions. And the answer to that question cannot be a thought, can't be a concept, can't be a feeling, cannot be an experience, because those are all experienced by you. The answer to who am I has to be you. You are the answer to it. It can only come from you. It can only be revealed to you and as you, because otherwise it's coming from somewhere else. Only you can answer the question of who you are. That means shedding everything you're not, everything you've been told, no matter how wonderful, even if it's wonderful. It's easy to get rid of the horrible stuff. Well, not easy, but we're more than willing to do it. But the good stuff, I want to hold on to that. All of it, just all of it. Set it aside. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? The answer is you. The answer revealing is you, knowing yourself. And there will be no doubt, like seeing yourself in the mirror. There's no doubt that it's you. That's what it means. That's what self-realization means. I realize who I've always been. And then, we can move on to Shitra for a moment. You'll find that your life is satisfying, because the dissatisfaction with your life is actually the dissatisfaction that is inherent in the sense of identity that isn't really you. It is impossible to be satisfied with something if the desire for that thing is not your natural desire. If it's the desire of who I think I am, right? So I believe myself to be. So that means I want that. Okay, I want, when you get it, it's not satisfying. The ego, or the sense of self, the person, is inherently unhappy, unsatisfied, and restless. Inherently. If you are feeling dissatisfied with your life, it means that you are identified with something that is not you. That's what it means. Well, people will tell you, well, change this, change that, change this, change that. But it never quite works, does it? The only thing that can possibly satisfy, the only thing that could satisfy a need is if it was a genuine need. If it was really my need. Then the fulfillment is fulfilling. And then the need is satisfied, the fulfillment is satisfied. There's that moment of just relief. Because desire's gone. But then another desire pops up. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But life isn't about the endless satisfaction of certain desires. Really reach in to the dissatisfaction that you're feeling. I'm dissatisfied with my life. Right? Because immediately what that means is we want to look to the circumstances that we're in. Pull that a bit, starts tugging. And I'm dissatisfied. Okay, so this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Right? And then we find, if we're blessed, we find that we cannot change those things. We cannot make them in a way that they will be satisfied. Or we find that we do, but it's not quite right. Because what's going to satisfy me? The belief is simply that there's something out there that will do it. There's nothing out there that will do it because the dissatisfaction is the nature of the egoic mind. The ego cannot be happy. Please understand that. It doesn't matter how much you give it. You know, in the West, especially in America, the pursuit of happiness means pursuit of money. If I have a lot of money, then I'll be happy. Look at the richest people in the world. Are they happy? Do they look happy to you? If money made people happy, the incredibly, unfathomably wealthy people in the world should be so blissed out that they never do anything. They just be in a just complete state of blissful abandon. But that's not the case. They want more. They want more. In the United States, they've just actually done it. Literally taking food out of children's mouth to put more money in their pockets. Literally. This is not a metaphor. It's actually happened. So, where's the happiness in acquisition? There isn't any. What's going to make you happy? You. Finding you. Finding the sense of self that is inherently satisfied. Because what else is there to get? I have me. I have. Not gotten. Right? Not even have in the sense of it's a possession. I am that. If I am that, it cannot be lost. Anything gotten can be. This dissatisfaction you're feeling is important and significant. It's auspicious, actually, because without it, we don't seek. And at first, we seek in the wrong places, where we think it is, but if the dissatisfaction remains, eventually, you go, wait a minute. You hear something, read something, and attention starts becoming dubious about this and open to the possibility that maybe what I'm really looking for is myself. Not who I think I am, but who I really am. People say, how will I know it? Because it's you. You see yourself in the mirror. Is that me? You know. You know, and you know you know. Every little feeling we have of dissatisfaction, recognize you have projected your happiness, yourself, onto something outside of you. Say, okay, where is that? Where Am I identifying with something that isn't me? Just got it's almost a prayer. Show me. Show me where I'm missing this boat. And it will. God is a sucker for that prayer. She can't help but answer. So, thank you, Chitra. I hope that was, or Chitra? Is that how we say it? Chitra? Yeah, I hope that was a satisfying answer. Marty, wonderful to see you. Christina, attention and presence, not the same thing. Wow, didn't realize that. No. Attention can jump around. What's aware of attention? We don't notice that. So where attention is going, we see the content and everything attention is seeing. What's seeing attention? Is that bouncing around? What's attention reporting to? Is that moving? It's subtle stuff that we've just, nobody told us. I mean, nobody told us. Hey, nobody told us all this stuff. But actually they have. But we have to become ready to hear it, which you all are. Happy to say. Joseph, wow, calms me down. Wonderful. Yes, my friend. You don't have to, we don't have to beat ourselves up because of an experience that we are having. We're all going to have horrible experiences. We're all going to have lives that appear to be disastrous. Nothing gets in the way of you knowing you. What can get in the way of you from you? What can get in between you and you? There's not two there for anything to get in the way of. A micrometer. You are always present. Mind, another thing, off all over the place. But when that's recognized, that's okay. Let it go. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Suddenly the sting's gone. When I find myself completely wrapped around the axle, all upset about something, and suddenly I realize that, oh yeah, no judgment, no condemnation, no criticism. Oh yeah, thank you, I'm back. Oh yeah, right, I'm here. Just this is, there's this shit going on. Yeah, and it sucks, right? And I'm present, and I know that it sucks, and that's it. Yeah, I am still present with the suckness. So yes, calm down. Yeah, let yourself calm down. Yeah. God is that very presence. You've not been abandoned. You've not been pushed aside. You're not being punished. You're not being inflicted with something. None of that is happening. The truth is, you're being liberated. Being liberated from all the things we attached ourselves to that created the suffering. Everything that's happening is, perhaps you can begin to see, it's an act of incredible love. Just pure love. There's nothing but benevolent interest. You are so loved. Oh my God. The loved of love, the very image and likeness of love, and the essence of love at the same time. Yeah, wow. Christina, gee, as always, in sync. You said something in Sangha this week, made me realize my presence, myself, was never gone. And it doesn't depend on what's happening. I'm always here. Most of my life, I did not feel myself. Yes, don't feel yourself because we imagine ourselves to be something that we're perceiving. Thoughts and experiences and emotions and conditions and circumstances. Right? And there's a sense of self that is part of this whole chaos of constantly shifting things. Yet all of this is happening because you are here. If you weren't here, nothing, whether your life is magnificent or horrible, none of it could be there without you. You're primary. You're always present. I don't care how bad it is. It can't be bad unless you're there to look at it and go, yeah, that's bad. You're always present. Our presence, though, is not something, it's not an object. And like this microphone that keeps it keeps going down and tugging. Right. Yeah, there it goes again. There's actually a little. One of these days, I'm going to solve all of my technology problems. Stop laughing, Christina. Okay. Presence is not a thing or a state. Presence doesn't mean, oh, I'm enlightened. Presence doesn't mean, anything, any circumstance or anything. No condition, no thought, nothing. It's what is experiencing those. Have you not always been there for every experience you've ever had? But presence is not a thing. Your presence isn't just the body or your attention. Your presence is not a form. It is not a physical thing. It is not a shape. It is not a thing at all. It is being, only being. Not being as something, not being this or that, just being. You just are. And it's being is just boundless. There's no beginning, no end. Being doesn't become not being. It doesn't start sometime, suddenly, oh, is happens. It's what is. It's timeless, boundless, shapeless, formless, beginningless, endless. That's the actual nature of presence, the sense of yourself. And because it's boundless and formless, there's only one. That's why we call it God, the one. The one manifest as the many. The divine mystery, and the divine wonder, but the source of everything. Out of that, all life comes. All experience comes. Love, creativity, it's all of this one. And one cannot be directly perceived, can it? By what? Only the one can perceive the one. Do you perceive yourself? If so, then you must be that one. Not going to compute in your mind, so don't bother with it. Just accept it in your heart. It's like faith. Not blind belief, though. Do you not know that you are? Yes. Well, that knowing that you are isn't something else knowing you are. It's you knowing you are. One. Non-dual recognition. Consciousness recognizing itself as consciousness. Not as a form, because any form would appear to it. Formless. Like empty. empty of definition, but infinitely full of everything. Everything is possible because you are one. And Christina said, most of my life I did not feel myself. Yeah, because you imagined yourself to be something other than yourself. So yeah, you're not going to feel it. And yet, weren't you there the entire time? Most certainly were. You were here before that body was born. You will be here after that body falls away. Because you're not the form. Form can come and go. You're not a form, so you do not come and go. You just are. Again, don't give this to your mind. Just accept it in your heart because something inside of you tells you it's true. Thank you. That voice that tells you it's true is you. Fatima, yes, one desire after another is hell. But I think if you live your calling, it's also super exciting to fulfill the desire. Yes, it is. But that's it. The desire is fulfilled. Now, if your sense of yourself and human life and everything is pure, the desire will be fulfilled by what it's actually desiring. It won't be mistaken. The feeling of desire won't think it's desiring that. So, but it will still be a transient thing, won't it? The desire will be up. It'll be happy. It'll be very satisfying, and then goes, and then of course dissipates. The desire ends with the fulfillment. It dissipates. That's its life cycle. And you will watch it arise, you'll watch it grow, you'll watch it be fulfilled, you'll watch it decay, and you're still here. It's also super exciting, is it not? Is it contradicting the true spiritual inquiry? Not at all. What's there that witnesses the desire? That's not a desire. You don't have to desire you're already here. But desire is just something else that comes and goes. Recognizing that as it is, you don't expect it to be anything other than that. So yeah, it's exciting, it's wonderful, it's blissful, right? And then it's gone. And we can either, I want to get into the next blissful, exciting thing, or you just go, go. Osho used the term, there's the peak orgasm and then there's the valley orgasm. We like the foreplay as much as the main event, and then we love just that quiet afterwards, don't we? Well, it comes again, it's fine. But if there's no craving for it to come again, it's not expected to be anything other than what it was, what it is, and you recognize that it's not you, that it couldn't exist without you, you can exist without it, you find the contentment, the peace that is the background of all experience. And so experience can have peaks and valleys, but it never falls past this line of contentment into the realm of suffering. Okay. I'm going to need to take a slight break here. Sometimes I have to do, just the way my body is changing. So I will be right back. Give me about 3 minutes here, folks. I want to have my full attention. The presence is always here, but my attention does wander, and so I need to make it so it doesn't. I'll be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. Laser focus now. Yeah. Now, let me see. Kind of look through these questions here. False. Howie Whitehouse. How does the true self deal with the false self? In the form of those fascist dispositions. In the Hindu tradition, there's the teaching of the yugas, right? The various phases that humanity goes through. It's really pointing in phases of awakening consciousness. There are different kinds. There's a complete bliss, right? Everything happens. You think of it, it manifests. Kind of like the perfect world of the law of attraction. Just angelic beings. Goes on thousands of years, and there's different levels of experience. There's 4 yugas until you get to the final one, which is the Kali Yuga, which is characterized by ignorance, hatred, bigotry, race, all the things that we are experiencing right now. It also said that it is going to look as if evil has won. But it can't win because it's not the truth. How do you find someone innocent? Someone who filled with greed, lust for power, right? Hatred, cruelty, just unthinkable cruelty is what we're dealing with. Towards humans, it's been that way towards animals. And if you know about how they produce the meat people love to eat, you see it's just acts of such unimaginable cruelty we're inflicting on other sentient beings. Coming to terms with it, what do you do? Well, what you don't do is play their game. That is, hate, be ignorant, malicious, bigoted. Cultivating compassion, loving your enemy, blessing those that curse you. The Sermon on the Mount is an amazing piece of work. It's ignored even by Christians who prefer the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Kind of the legalistic way of looking at it. Right? Wouldn't it be great if blessed are the peacemakers, or in that was on the walls in the Pentagon and the like. And blessed are the merciful in all of the courts across the land. Wouldn't that be great? Blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness. What is that? It's truth. Those who hunger and thirst after truth. You have to recognize that you, in your life, you may have to love those who will be utterly horrible to you. And to find them innocent. How in the world do you do that? Well, the innocence is in every single one of us. conditioning is not innocent. The ego is born in sin. It is a mistake from the beginning. And it is the ego attempting to satisfy what cannot be satisfied, substituting power and control and lust for love, because it's just grabby, 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 grabby. But it's all conditioning. It is not the natural state of any human being. None of those, there's no such thing as a fascist child, right? They don't exist. We're taught to be that way by the ignorance and the aggression and all the horrid stuff that the ego is capable of. So, how does the true self deal with the false self? To the true self, there is no false self. Now, within experience, you will see the belief in the false self acting out. Those with the fascist dispositions that you mentioned are believing in the false self, are acting it out. They believe they're gaining something from this. They believe that this is, they're going to get something, right? This power. I mean, miserable people, obviously, who would think that. Unhappy people, just that's the way this lust works. This is the way greed works. This is, they're 7 deadly sins for a reason. They are deadly. Greed kills. It kills the soul. It transforms somebody into a miser, a hoarder, focusing attention on me, not even the kind of attention of self-inquiry, because there's no self-inquiry. It's self-assertion, and the assertion of a false self. Be the true self. And then you will see clearly the true self. You will see the innocence in the middle of the ego. You will see the ego as the ego, the false self as the false self. You might be able to bring light to it, but you might not be able to either. That same false self may crucify you. But your mission isn't to do anything other than to be the true self, to recognize the true self in you, which then will recognize it in them, and that's the only light that will pierce through this darkness. The only thing that will reveal it. And everybody on the planet, every single individual, is going to have to go through exactly this same thing. There are no exceptions. There's no discount here, no coupons. Everyone must go through this process of recognizing the false self and seeing in such a way that the false self now becomes something to overcome rather than to indulge. How does that happen? By seeing the consequences of your own actions. When you actually see the pain you have inflicted on somebody else, and you cannot undo it, but you really see it, that's the wisdom that ends this stuff. Until then, it's blind. It's blind to it. It's horrific little pleasures it takes in it, right, are actually just the most horrific suffering, inflicting just lifetimes of karma and onto themselves. Compassion, my friend. Seek the way for yourself. And recognize that every one of those folks, they're going to have to do that too. So do it. Maybe you'll be able to touch some of them. Maybe not, but be the true self. And as the true self, you'll know exactly how to deal with the false self, because you'll deal with the false self here first, and then you will see it everywhere, and you'll know how to deal with it. In the same way you come to deal with the false self in you. I think it was Rumi, but I'm not sure, who said that he had read Jesus' words, love your enemies. Said, and so I believed it, and I loved myself. Poignant, yes. And God, when light goes looking for darkness, it can't find any. At some point, it'll start to become clear that there are no others. And I won't go there quite yet. Yeah, wow. Thank you for that, Howie. Yeah. Oof. Okay. Christina, can't wait for that. Hello, Peter. Good to see you. Good to see you. Lindsay, discussing sexuality. Why so many in the East, monks and Buddhists, embrace celibacy? Just following on this discussion about embracing one's physiology. It's cultural. Same thing. There's a deep, just, there's truth in the Western traditions, in Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. There is truth in it. It's just been distorted and warped by culture. There obviously is an excess that one can do. One could just, utter hedonism. It does not set one free at all. It simply doesn't. Right? Oh, you guys have to bear with me and my technology woes. It's been something that I think that was my purpose in this life, to transcend technology woes. Same kind of idea that drove the clergy too. How do I separate myself out from all of life? How do I transcend it? How do I truly overcome suffering? There are all sorts of beliefs about it. That I got to follow the rules and do the right thing. And if I, St. Paul would say, well, look, it's better to marry than to burn. So get married, right? If you want to get, if you're desperate to have sex, you're desperate to get laid. Paul wouldn't put it like that. Get married, right? So it's now sanctioned, right? Because he thought celibacy was the way it should be, but he also thought that Christ was coming back and the kingdom would be established soon. I mean, in his lifetime. That's what Christ actually said. So there's always been this kind of thing about sexuality and what to do with it, right? Pleasure, the pleasures of the sense, because they can be intoxicating, right? Like anything else, we become addicted to pleasure. It can be a way in which we disconnect from our experience, from the stuff that we must deal with within ourselves. And in the East, all sorts of different things happen. I've had conversations with Buddhist monks that some drink alcohol and they get married, or just have recreational sex. Others, there's some Buddhists that you can't even touch somebody of the opposite sex. You can't even shake their hand, right? None whatsoever. The attempt to try to transcend suffering, right? Which means also transferring transcending pleasure and all of that, it's misguided, quite frankly. And the evidence for that is in Buddha himself, who took that path of celibacy, but it went even to the extreme, is like the Jain. I mean, just ate as little as torture your body to the point where you would transcend all attachment to life. And laying there half dead, it dawned on him that this isn't the way. That this is not the way. Out of that came what's called the middle way. Right? That it is not that extreme. It's not indulgence, and it's not deprivation. Right? And it was after that recognition, and he even took some food from somebody that made the others with him abandon him because he had abandoned the path. It was then that he sat down in the deep meditation, because now all the options that he had explored were gone. And he sat down with the simple desire, I'm not getting up from this place until I have found the answer to suffering. Wow. It's just focused commitment to the answer to suffering, not to being enlightened, not to some transcendent state, not to even bettering the world in the sense of, because he was a prince. He was going to be a king, Could have been a very benevolent, wonderful king taking care of everybody. But he looked deeper, find the answer to suffering. And he sat there, and eventually he did. And what he discovered is exactly what I'm telling you. It's exactly what other sages had been saying. It is not it is the sufferer that is the problem, which is a mistaken identity. It's that the whole foundation, the whole chain of the causation of suffering, the causation of life, of birth and death, is ignorance of who you are. And so the embrace of human life as it is grows out of this understanding that this isn't the problem. And in fact, eventually you come to see all of this is not merely human life. This is the very presence of God. That the unseen, that the presence in essence of it is you. Formless, shapeless, beginningless, endless, timeless, just pure being. And everything that manifests as presence, the presence of something or someone, is a reflection of the presence that you are. So human physiology, we think of it in terms of purely mechanical or chemical processes, is in fact the very presence of God. That which is manifest and the essence that is manifesting are not two, any more than the reflection in the mirror is two. But you are both the one looking in the mirror, the reflection in the mirror, and the mirror. You are all of those. That's the oneness that cannot be conceived of. And so human life is seen now as the presence. So, and everything now becomes innocent. Everything becomes pure. Because it's seen as it actually is, not as something. And you have seen you as you are, not an ego, not just a clutching, grabby kind of thing, trying to get something, distorting and misusing. That is the sufferer who does not exist anymore. No, it never did. It was just an idea, a concept. It never had real existence. You've always had real existence. Realization is that I realize that that is what I am, and now all of this becomes pure. All of it becomes innocent. All of it becomes natural. And the wisdom by which you navigate this territory of human experience becomes natural to you. It becomes your natural state. Sahaja is the Sanskrit word for it. It is your natural. Wisdom is your natural state. And the rest, how you saw it before, the conditioning falls away, recognizing there's not even anything to forgive because it was never you in the first place. It's the original innocence, the real you. And so, how each of us comes to see that will be different. So for some, it might be, living a celibate life in a monastery somewhere. I had a woman, must be 10 years ago now, no, not quite, 7, 8 years ago, this woman who became a student of mine. She went through all my inner reconciliation classes, sent me a letter telling me how much she loved him. She was like, at that point, she was 98 years old, a nun living in an order in Missouri. She'd been celibate all her life, married to God. She was studying my inner reconciliation. She was listening to satsang. And she was actually had the other nuns around with her going through the inner reconciliation material. It was a while ago. She's probably gone by now, been 100 and some odd years. And, every few months or something, I'd get a letter from her. We'd go back and forth. And I even made some things for her because she was having a difficult time hearing and the like. And it just moved me. Right? We just, what's it? It's very likely in another life you were one of those monks or nun in some kind of celibate state. You might have gone through that. You might have something there that was essential to the ultimate unfolding. It's not your path now. Right? Great. Because you are now hearing and responding to where all of that has been leading, to the ultimate path, which is simple, direct self-inquiry. So, that is, who am I? Because who I determine myself to be will determine every experience of my life, the character, the quantity, the quality, the value. It will determine the world you're living in, because we don't see the world as it is. We walk through a subjective view of it. We only see our thoughts about it. And we just assume that what I'm seeing is objective reality. It isn't. It is not. That's why the example has always been used, the metaphor of a dream. We're walking through a dream. It's not what it is. So, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream. The Row Your Boat Sutra. Yes. Row your boat gently. Go through life gently, lovingly, compassionately, kindly. Right? Be the light. It just might be that thing, that turning moment that changes everything for somebody. I mean, how else is love going to get into the world if you don't bring it? Bring it. Find it. Live it. Bring it. Even to those who hate you. Christ on the cross is the most beautiful metaphor. I could talk about it all day because the cross is such an incredible symbol, as is the coiled snake, the very versions of the cross appearing in all sorts of different cultures, because it's something deep inside us pointing to something, to the crucifixion that is the dissolution of the ego and the appearance of the reality. And what was it he said in the midst of all this? Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. What does he mean, forgive them? Find them innocent. That's what it meant. Find them innocent. They don't know what they're doing. And then he said, it's finished. Into your hands I commit my spirit. Find them innocent. The people who were killing him. The people who had accused him. His closest disciples who all abandoned him. Except for one. One of them remained. And the women. Just saying, you know. They were there. They followed the whole process through. Now, how much of that is historically absolutely true? Probably never know. Not a lot of it. Not a lot. A lot of the stories aren't true. A lot of the miracles and the like. It's an emphasis of something, but look at the essence of it. The essence of that teaching was love, justice, equality, forgiveness, tenderness, wisdom, love, and more love. Be that. Be that. You might not reach 1 million people. You may reach one. Now that one, you'll be the savior. Oh, got me off on that, didn't you? Thank you, Lindsay. I'm 73, and I still can't help it. Slurp when I get to the bottom of the drink. I know it's not like proper, but how would you accuse me of being proper? Sylvia, so good to see you. You guys got me warmed up now. I was just thought, boy, it'd be a good place to end right there, but I guess we're not going to end. Summit, hi G. How to have the insight about there is no birth and death? Well, okay, how much time we got? We got about 4 hours. I can get to this. Where do I start? Well, let's start here. Your own consciousness. Right? Everybody, just for a moment, put your attention on consciousness. I gotta do that. Just, you're aware of being aware. Right? There's something that is hearing my words, seeing the images, reading the stuff. There's something that is cognizing, isn't there? Right? My hands don't see me. I see my hands. Right? The thoughts I have, they're not thinking me. They're not seeing me. They're not sentient. I'm seeing them. This I that is just seeing all the thoughts, no matter what they are. This microphone, that's been a pain in the ass, right? It's not hearing me, is it? It's picking up things, transferring over to this thing, this little mixer that I have here, through the EQ and other stuff, and through the internet, blah, 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 till it appears on the other side, right? The lips and tongues that I'm speaking, they're not hearing me. The throat, the air. It's on your side. There's a speaker, the earbud, or something that's creating vibrations, which is then picked up by the ear. The ear isn't hearing it. This guy here, he's not hearing me. It's a mechanism, right? All the nerves in the brain that's attaching meaning, all this stuff to it. Somewhere at the end of this chain, this incredible chain, is sentience cognizing. Now, set aside the materialistic view that that's just a function in the brain. Although what's functioning in the brain has never been found. It's a hypothesis, it's a belief. There's faith, right? Blind faith, actually, because there's no evidence for it whatsoever. But there's evidence of consciousness, isn't there? Nobody doubts consciousness. You can't explain it away. It's here. You are conscious, are you not? Now just using that without any idea of it as anything other than your direct experience of it. Your direct experience of consciousness is not something that came and went, is it? It's something that's just here. Also, referring to nothing but this conscious awareness, this cognition. It's not changing, is it? Now, what's it made of? Well, I can't find it made of anything. I can't take it apart and see what the component bits are. Right? What the hell is it? Now, without any of that, without any thoughts, without anything referencing consciousness, except consciousness, looking at itself, is there a beginning to it? If there's a beginning, consciousness had to be there to see the beginning. If there was an ending, it'd have to be there to see the ending. Now, obviously, there's beginnings and endings to everything around us. But does consciousness itself have a beginning or an end? Now, this is not something that I could say, oh, here's the answer. You go, oh, great, I got the answer. You write it down and you're done. It's like, wait a minute, what is it? What is this answer and your question are for you to dig into the point where you see, I cannot find a beginning or an end to consciousness. That is my actual experience. I can't find a beginning and end to it. I can't find it changing or fluctuating. I can't find an evidence that it was born or it will die. I have no evidence of that. I believe it. People believe it. Everybody tells me it's true. I've been taught that. But when I really look, I don't have any evidence of that. Neither do any of the people who are telling me that it is. Now there's an opening there. And most importantly, I'm now looking at consciousness as consciousness. Right? You're not just, there's not you over here in consciousness and you're looking at it. You are the consciousness you're looking at. This is a non-dual inquiry. Now, look around. I'll give you one other way of approaching the same thing. Right? Okay, well, things then, have a birth and a death. Right? Do they? What's the thing? These little flowers over there, the tree behind me, my little keyboard, the shirt I'm wearing. uh, the living things and the inanimate things. There's a form there, right? And our mind, because our mind is a picture taker, right? Storing things off. Things become static in the mind. And so all of a sudden I'm dealing with a thing, right? This flower, right? This hand, this shirt, it's a thing, right? And so I have ideas about the thing and everything. Is it a thing? Stop for a second and look. Is there ever a moment when that tree behind me, or the plant, or this, is there ever a moment when it actually stops changing, stops transforming? Ever? How about your body, this hand? Is there ever a moment when this actually stops and becomes a thing? Any, no matter how thinly you slice time, will you find a thing? Or will you find a transformation of something? What is it that's transforming? We recognize, now, at least to a certain extent, that there's just this constant transformation of energy. Energy is just constantly changing form. So the form itself doesn't exist in the way we think it does, which means it was never born and it's never going to die because it doesn't exist as a thing. It is simply this constant transformation of energy. You follow that? Thich Nhat Hanh has this beautiful poem. No, it's just more of a little essay, a little teaching. I've heard him teach it to kids, which is just amazing. The cloud never dies. Does the cloud die? Right? Where does it appear from? Is it born? If you look at the formation of a cloud in the sky, it's just a bunch. There's water there, but the air is warm enough, right? That the molecules, which themselves are just spinning little thingies, there aren't thingies at all, can hold more water. But then it gets cooler, the air comes together, and suddenly the water gets pushed together and forms droplets, and now we see it. Oh, cloud appeared. Well, it was always there, but shrunk down now. And then what happens, right? It turns into a storm, turns into rain. Right? The water in this body, right here, right? The stuff I'm like, peeing out and sweating out and the like. And all the water that's going to be there, what, 80% of this body is water? Yeah. When this body, quote unquote, dies, that is, this functioning stops and that energy is now going to be transforming into something else. That water, right, what's going to happen to it? Well, it's going to become a tree or a bug. Right? It's now going to be a part of this other body. It could evaporate, right? Go up and become a cloud. I could become what now is, I call me, this body, could become a cloud, float around, come down as rain, and hell, you might be drinking it in your energy drink or the tea. You're having a tea with tea. Could have been somebody you knew. Look at it. It's one constantly transforming what? There's no thing there at all. Right? What's transforming? Consciousness. It's consciousness in its essence is the unmoving, birthless, deathless, expressing itself in the birthless, deathless, through a constant, unending transformation of itself. What is all this? It's you. It's you. This is the body of God. It's the body The universe is your body. But this body is in you. You're not in it. It is you and it's not you. It is and it is. It is all the self. Brahman is all there is. God is all there is, if you want to put it that way. There's nothing else. There's no other. There's no tree, yet there is a tree. This is where that arcane weird language from non-duality comes from. There's a tree, sure, there's a tree. I enjoy it as a tree. But I know that the tree does not have a permanent, independent existence. It is but a momentary appearance of what is a constant flow. And I enjoy the flow. This body is the flow. This life I call mine is the flow. It's just flowing. And I am the unmoving center around which it flows. I am both. You are both. You are life. You are the source of life. You are the experiencer of life. You are the forms life takes. It is all the self. It is all you. So you see, nothing is born, nothing dies. Forms come and go. Lots of forms come and gone in my life. Some I was glad to see them go. Others I still miss. My own children. Right? My sons are 49 and 50 years old. I remember 5-year-olds. I remember them covering the brand new sofa I had in tinfoil. And when I wasn't around, I slept in, which I rarely do. They got up to my couch covered in tinfoil. I thought it looked really beautiful. They were very proud. And then I realized that the tinfoil was like not falling off. I said, oh my God, what did they do? Well, brilliant. They needed something to make it adhere, right? They needed an adhesive. What's a perfect adhesive when you're 4 or 5 years old? Peanut butter. Yep, brand new couch covered in peanut butter and tinfoil. Oh God, I miss that. I mourn its passing. And at the same time, it's like, it has to pass. Let me see what we got here. Thank you, Samad. I hope that helps. I hope it bring it all into perspective. Experiences come and go, but it's actually a seamless flow. You know of yourself. It's just a seamless flow. Suffering comes because I imagine what is in fact a constantly transforming flow to be a fixed thing, namely me. But this idea of me in my mind, which is constantly changing, is actually a fixed thing, and that this is what I am. What am I? I have no idea what I am. No idea. All I could say, nothing in particular. Ida, thank you for being the gift that keeps on giving, GP. You are the gift. Yes. Yes. The gift just keeps coming. Yeah. Yes. This form is a gift. The formless is a gift. You're a gift to hear it. Ms. Nay, what's something that you found challenging when first awakening to and embodying non-dual teachings? And any challenges that still affect you? Oh, yeah, there's some that get me sticky. You know, I was commenting about the fascist disposition. I mean, cruelty. Technology is the annoyance, right? But cruelty. For what? For what? What is the benefit of cruelty? The benefit of me accomplishing, acquiring something really, really, significant at the expense of somebody else. What? Yes. What I've come to terms with is that I'll never be able to understand this with my mind because it is irrational. There is nothing to be understood there. So don't try. The most challenging thing about awakening, Miss Nay, well, there's several things. Most challenging. Whatever is the most challenging is going to be, whatever is that's most challenging to you. The promise of awakening is real. And maybe even have had that sense of just kind of like, suddenly it all falls away. And it is, say it's blissful, but it's not just emotional. There's something just really deep about it. And I've had those great, experiences and all that. I've had them, but the ones that have stuck, the ones that are the ones where it was just empty. It was just peace and love. Yes. Yeah. Wasn't this great emptiness? There was love there. Yeah. Love that didn't have preferences. Yeah. And so the challenging part of awakening is that when we truly, consciously submit to, yes, this is what I want, we're expecting that the person we think we are is going to get something from it, is going to benefit from it. But then we find that suddenly we begin to see things about ourselves that aren't so very pretty. We also begin to see things about others that aren't so pretty. We begin to see the experience we've had in a much truer light. Things start getting revealed to us. And we begin to see other places where we're really holding on to stuff. We're holding on to pride, arrogance even, our opinion being right. And the hard part is the seeing sufficiently and the trusting sufficiently to be willing to see the distortions of the ego when they arise, as well as our most cherished beliefs coming into question. Yeah, that's the challenge. The challenge is to let go of you. The you think you are, of course, but the feeling is, I'm letting go of me. The feeling is crucifixion, not resurrection. The feeling is there anything left for me? Well, for that me, no. Nothing. Yeah. But you're not that me. That's the me. That me is being dismantled, and it doesn't just happen in one fell swoop. It's dismantled a little at a time. Until finally you get to the point where you realize, I've surrendered it all, except me. I'm still holding on to me. I want there to be two. There's a story I tell. Oh my goodness, look at all these. Thank you for the super sticker. It's a story of a saintly man, deep in prayer. He finally was the point of this major awakening, just total opening. And he finds himself right there at the door to God. He knocks on the door, and the voice inside says, "Who is it?" And this enlightened being says, "It is I. It is I, Lord." The voice inside says, "Go away. There's no room for you in here." Suddenly the guy finds himself back seated. He's shocked by it. So he meditates some more. Finds himself there. This time. Knocks on the door. He's even in a higher state than he was before. And the voice says, "Who is it?" He says, "It is I, Lord." He says, "Go away. There's no room for you in here." Yeah, he's in total shock, right? I mean, it was there, right? This is it. I was one with everything. And finally, he's meditating again. Deeper, deeper, finally. Finds himself at the door again. He knocks on the door. The voice says, "Who is it?" He says, "It's you, Lord." He says, the door opens. The moth loves the flame. The moth becomes the flame. This is the gradual path. Letting go of more and more who you thought you were, until you finally simply let go of you. Then there is the resurrection. I think this might be a place to end. Let me see. Voice is true, savoring experience. That's the person, that's the behavior. You've gone to the innocence at the center of the ego. Oh, wonderful. I'm so glad to see that, yes. The innocence around which the ego is but a shell. Actually, it's part of what had to happen. Wow. Baptism. This is the baptism. The baptism of fire, the baptism of water. Baptism of the water is the devotion to the truth. The baptism of the fire is the burning away of everything that is not you. Thank you, Ella and Assis and Eva. Assis, daily practice, stay present. Remember who you are. Just be. Recognize, am I ever actually absent? Oh, I'm always present. Tension may not be. I can be all over the place. But the moment I notice attention all over the place, of course I was there the whole time. I saw it was all over the place. I didn't recognize it as all over the place, but who was it appearing to? Oh, me. I'm still present. Who am I that is always present? No matter what. No matter what shape, form, experience. Who is that? That's me. But not a thing me. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I mean that. People always thank the teacher, but the teacher thanks you. Because this is my joy, seeing the lights go on. Yes. Seeing suffering diminishing and seeing the lights go on. That is my reward. So thank you for that. Thank you for your sincerity and everything. And yes, grace is with you. You cannot fail. Yeah. Till next time, everybody. Namaste.